my perspective on what sports were, how fans reacted, and how the games were played was very much impacted by growing up in Philadelphia. My image of how you play hockey was based off the Broad Street Bullies. For Madden football, Cunningham was one of the first great running quarterbacks. It just made for a very different kind of play. Another example is every sports game I've made has really hardy gooing in it. The founder of Electronic Arts, Trip Hawkins, was a big sports fan. When he started Electronic Arts, he really wanted to develop a football game. In 1990, EA moved away from PC games to video games. The idea was basically to make a really cool football game, and they called it EA Sports Football. Madden was sort of added at the last minute. It became John Madden Football. It was kind of before Madden became really well known as an announcer. He was like a retired coach. We had paid Madden a lot of money for the PC football game in the mid-'80s, which had not sold very well. So accounting came up with the brilliant idea of why can't you just attach John Madden's name to the football game that you're creating? We can write off the cost of the license. So we basically shipped that early, and then we're like, okay, we're gonna work on the next Madden, John Madden Football 92. But in the meantime, what else can we do? And I'm a hockey fan, and Rich Hillman, the executive producer, is also a big hockey fan. So it was pretty natural to say, hey, let's do hockey. At the beginning, I was doing the ratings for hockey and for football. When the NHLPA signed on for 93, we took an early version of the 93 game to San Diego for their licensing meeting. After that's over, I'm sitting down and this guy comes over to me and he said, "Hi, I'm Ken Baumgartner. I'm the one you gave a 0 rating for intelligence to." And I'm like looking up at him, and I'm thinking, wow, these guys are real. Like, they're not just like names and little cartoon characters. And it was kind of the first time that had really been brought home. And then I'm thinking, well, I'm glad like this isn't Ty Domi or Bob Probert. So I just said to him, maybe we shouldn't call it intelligence. So in fact, we did change that to offensive awareness. And, to my credit, I think Ken Baumgartner that season might have had 1 assist in 60 games, no goals, and, something like 200 penalty minutes. So, there wasn't a lot of offensive awareness there. The NHLPA immediately told us that from that point on, nobody was going to get a rating of under 60. And then, funny story, years later, Ken actually went to Harvard Business School after. So I wonder if we kind of put a little chip on his shoulder with the 0 intelligence rating, which was obviously very far from the truth. The most dominant players in those early games, I'd have to say I really liked playing defense. I liked having Bruce Smith on the Bills. Great defensive lineman to use to sack the quarterback. Probably on offense is Randall Cunningham. I might have jacked his speed rating up a little bit. In NHL, it really mattered whether you had a good goalie or not, and Eddie Belfour was probably the best goalie in the game. It was kind of interesting that Gretzky wasn't all that great in our game. It's because one of Wayne's greatest strengths was his awareness, and when you took over control of a player, he's on your team, he has the puck. Now it's your awareness. So a guy like Wayne Gretzky just wasn't as good in the early NHL series as a guy who had really good physical capabilities. There's a bug in the game on top of this that I didn't find out about till years later, that guys who are kind of low weight got reversed with guys who are of high weight. So if you try to check a little guy, basically it was the impact of trying to hit a guy who weighed 80 pounds more. And so that made a player like Jeremy Roenick super effective. And, he's known to this day as like one of the best video hockey players of all time. Yeah, when I saw Swingers, I was amazed that our video games and the features that are once a figment in your imagination can become part of mainstream culture. I mean, I've made a lot of games, and there's a lot that I'm proud of that, don't have the same sort of following. So, it's kind of nice. And for me personally, it's a real inspiration to be able to reach so many people and have such a lasting impact on some of the things that, you set in place 30 years ago. And there's this whole culture and industry that keeps going generations later.